Hey everyone, this is a special episode of my Gab with Gail with a family member, my niece Kelsey, or I call her KK. And I think she is a lovely human being. She's 15 years old. She's learning how to navigate these waters that we are navigating right now in this crazy world. Being 15 years old, y'all, I don't want to be 15 again. No way, no how. I did that. Never want to go back to that again. So she and I have sometimes weekly conversations, but mostly every week we talk. And she asks me these such amazing questions. She's so heartfelt. I was sharing with her some information about the harmonic egg, and she said, well, Aunt Gail, like if a center owner isn't working on themselves and they're responsible to put clients into this technology, like their egg could be much more powerful if they were working on themselves. And I'm like, how old are you? She's so mature for her age. And I know she's probably still throws the bathroom towel on the floor after her shower. That's what my brother will say. But she's a lovely, evolved soul that I just really wanted to give a voice to. And I wanted you guys to meet her. So Kelsey, welcome.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So what's your day looking like today?
I think I'm going to hang out with my friend, and then I'm going to go on a drive with one of my other friends today.
Nice, nice, nice. Are you going to go on a drive with them? Because you're not driving yet. You're taking your driving classes right now, right?
Yeah.
So
No,
you
I'm
guys
going to go on a drive with her mom and my mom. We're going to go together.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice, nice. That'll be really fun, really fun. Well, some of the things that I wanted you to kind of share here is you told me that you canceled your Facebook page and your Instagram page. Well, how did that feel? Did you feel like almost lost? Did you feel like that was really hard for you? Or I know you said it wasn't serving you. It's like, tell us what you mean by that. It's just so fascinating to me.
So for Facebook, I never really used Facebook much before. So when I canceled that, I was like, okay with it, nothing really different. Instagram was a little bit more different. It caused more changes. I mean, I still go on there, like talk to my friends and like DMs and stuff like that, but I don't really ever use it anymore that much. So I just canceled it because there's just no really reason to have it if I'm not doing it to help others. I was just doing it for like myself, you know what I mean? And there was just no really reason to keep it. Same with TikTok, I was just wasting my time on things that I could be doing something more productive with.
Right, right. Because you tell me you're reading some pretty intense books. So tell us about some of the books you're reading right now.
Let's see. Well, right now I'm reading this one book, and it's basically just some random history facts. It's called Strange History, and it's just some things that happened in history that I thought were interesting. And I was also reading this book, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, and he was one of the Roman emperors, and he's actually a philosopher, and he wrote this book like to help others, but it was actually more to help himself, but then someone found it and published it. It was never actually intended for a publication, which was really interesting.
That is so cool. I just am so impressed with you. You just finished reading How to Think Like a Monk, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what is fascinating to you about history?
History, I don't know. It's just some time periods I really connect with, and some of them I really find like interesting, and some places I also am just very like in tune with. It's very odd at like certain periods, and it just makes me happy to learn about that kind of stuff and to learn what goes on and how it all connects to each other.
That is so cool. So how would you describe yourself as a person? Like, I know you're so loving and wanting to help people. Like, how would you describe yourself?
That's a really difficult question because I think one of the most difficult things for people our age is the uncertainty of knowing everything about yourself. And, it's just difficult. And I think that's why that's where most of our problems come from. Is I like to think of our emotions as like like a tree kind of, and it all branches off from something. So I think the main thing is fear of everything and fear of being uncertain about who you are, So I'm just kind of trying to let things flow. I mean, I know I'm a good person, and I'm trying to get better as a person, but I don't really know a lot of like adjectives to describe myself. I'm just kind of trying to let it flow and figure myself out, because that's when people start to cling on to things or to completely detach at my age, is because like they don't know what they're doing, and they don't know like, I mean, that was me before, but now I'm just trying to like let things flow.
Yeah, because we've had several conversations about that. And you asked me like, when did I like find myself? And you're doing such a great job now, because I wasn't looking for myself when I was 15 years old. I didn't start looking until I was 30. So like your age group is so far above and beyond, but yet it has to be confusing, because you've told me about some of the kids in your school and how they're maybe acting like something else because they don't know who they are or who people want them to be. So it's got to be really difficult, like in school and everything, for you to navigate those waters, and everybody's looking at each other. They don't know who they are. They're trying to project who people want them to be. So, I mean, do you have any advice for people your age?
That is exactly like how it is. All I'm doing is I'm trying not to like think of things as just one way or another, like stopping the black and white thinking, because that's what causes issues. I'm just trying to let things flow and not go with one specific definition of everything, because everything is just energy. It's not like a word, it's all energy. So,
Yeah. So when all your friends, are they pretty much like, okay, if I have 100 Facebook friends, those are my friends? Or do they really see it as it's just a computer program, and that shows that you have friends, but they're not the people that you can hug or you can call up and say, hey, my boyfriend dumped me. Like, can we go meet for, a coffee if you guys do that? I don't know what you guys do.
yeah, I think everybody realizes that it's just superficial, but people think that if they don't have it, then they're going to be looked at differently, I think, or they just want to have it so they don't miss out, And I was
Yeah.
that way too. But like, I mean, there's just really no reason to have it and to always update people on everything, in your life.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we were just had this, I was telling you, we just went to a neighborhood party, and Mr. Bill, my guy, he was there, and he said he doesn't have Facebook. And the girl was like, you don't have Facebook? How can you live without the marketplace and what people are doing? He's like, I don't need to know. He goes, when I give my opinion, I want to give it to somebody in person, not someone behind a computer who didn't ask for it, you know? So I just thought that was really funny, because she was just like, you don't have Facebook?
Yeah, that is really funny. I mean, it's just like you're sharing your life with people that just don't care, and that's the harsh reality of it. But like half of like the people that were following me, actually more than half, a lot more than half, like didn't care about what I was posting at all. It's just I just find it superficial.
Yeah. And you and I were talking about, I was teaching you about the tilt testing. So you can say yes or no. And should you take the AP English class, right? It was English?
AP history.
History class. And, after you did some thinking and some soul searching, I think you decided that you're not going to take it because you want to do cheer, you want to do dive, or you want to do your extracurricular activities instead of sitting there and doing homework for 2 hours a night on top of the other homework you already have. So I think that was a really smart decision, because, social life and social skills is important for your age as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just taking like the next year. I'm gonna take only like 2 advanced classes, and then I'm gonna start piling up junior and senior. But I'm just taking this year to just chill out and like to learn more about myself instead of learning about these subjects that I'm gonna forget in 2 years.
And we've talked about it too, what you're learning in those isn't going to be your life skill and how to like run a business or how to, be a podcaster or whatever it is that you want to do, which I know you don't know exactly yet, but you had talked about a heart surgeon or a doctor at some point. You talked about that.
Yeah, that was like a while ago. I don't think I'll do that anymore. I think like psychologist might be a better bet. I was thinking about that too, but I'm still not exactly sure. But I definitely want to have my own business at some point in time, because like one thing that I'm trying to work on is being able like to listen when I don't want to listen. But if like if my boss is like telling me something mean, like I'm not gonna want to listen to them, and like I want to be able to make my own schedules, because if I'm not able to do that, it doesn't work with me, you know? I want to be able to be flexible.
Well, I think, part of life is to be flexible and it's like enjoy our lives. How many people in my generation, your grandmas, I know you call them Nana and Gagla, their generation, that all they did was work. And then now that they can retire, they can't really function too well anymore. They're not healthy enough. So I hope your generation learns something from our generations, that you don't want to work until you're so old that you can't do anything anymore. And then you start to live your life and you're too old to live it. Right?
Yeah.
So, and you want to go to Greece and you want to go to all these places and you want to travel and you want to have your own business. And I just think that you're an inspiration for so many of your peers. You're the class president. So how does that feel, like that kind of responsibility on your shoulders and those kind of goals?
I definitely want to travel and do all this fun stuff. Like I want to adventure. Like that is one of my like values in life, is I want to adventure. And well, the thing is that like sometimes I think it's better to be real with everyone, you know, and not like I try to be as open with all of my issues with like, you know, with people. I don't get too deep into it, but I think that's the best thing you can do, you know. It's not like having pressure on my shoulders. It's that I just need to be real with myself so I can be real with others, and then I can help them be real with themselves, because it's not putting all the pressure on yourself to like have people like look up to you. It's not as good as just being your real self and having them be their real selves with you, you know?
No, absolutely. And that one time you called me up and talked about that reality shifting, and you said, you thought maybe there was something not right about that. And we had talked about possibly that there's some people who are kind of luring your peer group and your age group into doing some things that maybe are energetically attaching some bad energies to you guys. And you felt like maybe it was a little bit weird for you when you did the experience. We talked about the sovereignty statement, so you could take back your power for that like energetic contract. So you had talked about that, and then you went online and you were telling people like, hey, be careful with this, what you do with your energy.
Yeah, that definitely was an interesting experience. It's just like they were trying to get you attached to like this opposite like reality, and it was very odd, like how it would get promoted, and it kind of like freaked me out, you know? And then when I tell people about it, I got attacked, and I kind of like, it was kind of funny because of how people like got like latched onto this escapism tactic. And it was like scary, but like kind of funny, because they were like going crazy on me, and I was just like, I'm sorry, like.
Wasn't it weird though, how people like they can be brainwashed so easily, but then when you can see things from the outside, and then people don't want to hear the truth, like you said, you want to be truth, and you want to be truthful with them, and sometimes there's not something that they want to hear. So I guess I think you're really brave and standing up and saying that. But how did that like make you feel when people were attacking you? I would have taken it personally.
I mean, since they were just like people online that I didn't know, like if they were saying something personal about me, that'd be a different story, and I'd probably be a little bit more upset about it. But since it's just like random people online that were just going crazy, I just kind of thought it was like funny. Like I just kind of laughed it off, because I was like, I'm sorry, but they were just, I don't know, it was just they were going so like insane on me and like typing in all caps, and I was like, oh.
That's crazy. So you have used the harmonic egg, your little aunt's invention. What did you think about it?
I liked it a lot, and the thing is that what I found was crazy is that I wasn't even like tapped into energy yet at that time, and I still like felt something in there. Like I still felt positivity and good energy in there.
Do you remember when I asked you what colors that I put you on in your remote session and you guessed them?
Oh yeah, I remember that. I was thinking about like the first time I ever went into the egg when I
In
when I was
person.
there. Yeah, in person. Yeah, but when I was doing it online, yeah, I thought that was crazy. Like I kind of just thought about it, and I realized if I like think about it twice, and that's when it's wrong, but if I just like think about it once, then that's when it's right.
Yeah, because we've talked about intuition. How do you follow your intuition? It's like that first thing that comes to you that's like, oh, boom. It's like the first thing that pops into your head. But if you start overthinking it, then you kind of lose that trail of where you were thinking, right?
Yeah.
So tell us like what you do for your own self-care so that you stay positive and that you stay focused and you stay clear-minded on your goals. Like, what do you do for your self-care?
Well, I meditate, obviously. I read, and sometimes, my emotions are still a little bit turbulent with everything. Like sometimes I get on the streak where I'm doing like really good and then it like offsets. But what I got to do is I just try to rationalize things with myself. And I just try to be like, how is this like helping me? Like, how is being like upset like this? How's crying helping me? And even one of my friends explained that to me. He's like probably one of the only people that like I know that can like kind of rationalize their emotions too. And he's like, "What is crying doing to help you?" And I'm like, "You're right. I don't know. Why am I, because I always laugh about it. I always turn it into a joke if like something is going, because I know it doesn't really matter. It's just all hormones going on crazy in my body and making me sad. So for no reason."
Right? That's why I never want to be 15 again. I remember those days. Now I'm 52 and the opposite's happening. The hormones are shifting all over again and I cry. But, at 52 years old, I've been through what you've been through. So now I know the crying is just, oh, it's menopause or it's hormones but crying is good because I feel like crying releases a lot of our cortisol. And so when you release the cortisol, that releases belly fat. So women out there, if you cry, you can lose some weight, right?
Oh my God, that's crazy, really?
Yeah, it does. It releases cortisol. Yeah, sure, totally true. It's really good for people to cry. It really is. But you want to keep it in check. You don't just want to cry at the drop of a hat about everything, or you don't want to be a big baby about stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, well, what do you think about guys that cry? Good or bad?
I think it's fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it at all. No.
Yeah. Yeah. Some people would be judgmental, like a guy is like a baby or something if they cry. I think it's healthy. I think it shows that they can express their emotions. I think it's really it's a sexy or attractive thing if a guy can actually experience his emotions.
Yeah, I think it's definitely better if like guys cry. I mean, if they're like crying all the time, but like if they're crying like, if they cry, like there's nothing really wrong with that. I think it'd be better that if they cry than if they like completely shut their emotions down, because like I've known people like that and it just is not good because they just can't express themselves.
Yeah.
And they're not a good friend to have if they can't, be a friend and like experience emotion.
Totally, totally. So, what do you think are some of the problems in the world that we need to be dealing with right now?
I think a lot of the issues is obviously fear, and because people fear things, that's like I said, the branch of the emotions, the first thing that always is there is fear. That is the root of every single issue there is people being afraid of things. And I think that fear also causes people to get like crazy with their power. And I think that's obviously one of the like and crazy in control. And that's why I always just try to like say, things aren't just black and white. I always try to think of things as more abstract concepts because, if you always need to know the answer and have an answer, then that's just the part of you trying to be controlling. And I think that fear is a big issue because it causes people this like need to have control over their lives, and then they expand it to other people, and then they want to have control over everyone.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So, being that love is the opposite of fear, do you think that that statement is true? Like, love can heal everything?
Yeah, well, let's see. I think I've heard this one saying, and it's like true love can heal everything. And I don't think that one's exactly, because true love is more like a specific person. But I think if you just kind of like send love to everyone, then that'll heal everything. But if you're only loving one person or a few people, that's not gonna help you much. But if you can love yourself and love just like the world in general, then that's a lot better. And there's like an odd line drawn between like love and another kind of love, you know what I mean? Like platonic and romantic. And those, it's kind of like difficult to see the line between those. So you just got to kind of not overly obsess. And instead of like overly obsessing, you just need to spread your love out to everyone instead of focusing on one person to love.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I always say, if you don't love yourself, you can't possibly love anybody else. And so there's a lot of people that, you know, that'll say, oh, I love so-and-so and so-and-so, but you know, if they don't love themselves, how can they truly, unconditionally and divine lovely love someone else? Right?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And when that book, How to Think Like a Monk one, I was reading it and it was talking about the cycle of love. And basically, if you're giving all this love to one person, it's going to return to you back, you know? Because the guy was talking about how he was giving all this love to one of his girlfriends and she wasn't returning the phone, but his mother would always be calling him, you know, and he didn't want to talk, but then he finally realized, he was like, oh, like this is where the love's coming back to me. And then he also said this one quote about like, you know, why do you need someone to love you back? If you love them, it's just a gift to love, instead of, you don't need someone to love you back too.
Yeah, no, you're so smart. You're so brilliant. You know, and I love talking to you when we have our weekly talks, because you bring different perspectives to my world, because I'm not the same person, like black and white. You know, I listen to everybody's perspective and then I'll say, huh, I didn't think about that way. So you always bring something to my thought process. It's like, oh, I didn't think about it that way. So it's really, really cool to dialogue with you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So anything else that you would tell your peers about, you know, taking care of themselves and navigating these waters of you know, the age group that you're in right now?
I just say try not to like obsess over things, because that is the thing that's gotten me problems, is like trying to obsess about finding who I am, and then I get led down this rabbit hole of like obsessing over other things, you know. And I just say let things flow, like you say, you know, like you just gotta let it flow so you don't overly get this need to control everything, because that's the biggest issue. Is, you know, a lot of people don't learn that you can't control everything, and some people are still dealing with it like as like an adult. So if you learn to deal with it when you're like younger, it just gets a lot better, you know.
Hey, it's really good advice for me too, because I tend to worry too much, try to control too much. So thank you for those words of wisdom. All right, well, I love you so, so very much, and thank you so much for your time with us. I'm going to share it with everybody, and hopefully you can be as inspirational to others as you have been to me.
I love you too, and of course.